Welcome to the Clean Library Podcast, where content meets conscience. We believe there are millions of you readers out there desperately searching for a better way to find clean content. Each episode, we will introduce you to a new author of clean books, giving you, your family, and your friends clean options.
Hello and welcome back to the Clean Library Podcast. We're so glad you're here with us. Today we have special guest author Jan Francisco. Jan lives on a farm in Wyoming with her husband Ben and her 6 children. Her main job is raising and homeschooling her children, with the side hustle of a small dairy business and a hobby of writing, just to keep things interesting. She draws inspiration from her kids, the animals on the farm, and occasional German fairy tales. Welcome, Jan. Thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So let's jump into your 2 truths and a lie.
Great.
These are fun ones, so I'm interested to figure them out. Okay. Number 1, our family's Thanksgiving tradition is to eat a bowl of Cheerios in the bathroom. Number 2, I was once stranded in Bali due to the monsoon season shutting down the airports. And number 3, I live on an, quote, old MacDonald farm with pigs, horses, sheep, goats, cows, and dogs. All right. See if we can talk about eating Cheerios in a monsoon at an airport on a farm.
Leave it in.
We'll see.
Awesome. So with all the other stuff you're doing, how do you find time to write, and what's your inspiration for actually sitting down and writing a book?
That's a great question. I haven't done it for a while. It's been really busy. I was doing my dishes one day, and I used to live in San Antonio, and I just had this clear thought that there needed to be an organic local food witch who only ate kids that were raised by organic, and this like storyline just popped into my head, almost fully formed, and I was like, oh, I got to write that. And I sat on it for just about 5 years and just kind of thought about the characters. And I ended up having all my kids in school one year before I started homeschooling. And it only took me a few months to write the novel. That wasn't the hard part. The hard part was the editing, and then the querying, and the agents, and the deciding that I was actually going to self-publish, because none of that was actually going through. But the writing was the super fun part, and creating characters and their own plot lines, and planning it all out. I have a sequel planned out right on my dresser. It's just waiting for me. I've got another book planned out and waiting for me in a drawer. And so I just need to find the time to put it together. For me, that's the fun part.
Yeah. So when you had that idea, did you actually write it all out, like all your ideas, so that you'd remember them?
No, I should have. I found I'm more of a plotter, not a pantser. And so I got a special journal, and I put in each character's plot arc, and then all the points, and then I made note cards for each point, and then I organized the points into chapters so that like each character was kind of weaving through. So that's really been helpful to me, because then I can do unexpected things. I can make connections. I can, make the plot more engaging, I think, because I've thought ahead about foreshadowing, or, putting somebody somewhere. And so I just kind of I just stewed on it for a while, thought that would be funny. That would be a fun book. And so, yeah.
So unlike me, who 50 chapters in realizes he's named 2 characters the same name and now has to go back and fix it all. Which I did today.
Love that fine feature. Yeah.
And I even have a list of character names, and I still managed to name 2 people the same name. That was the worst.
You must have a lot of characters. I had like 6. So
well, there's always these, the side characters and the people they run into, and the subplots and stuff. And I finally had to just start writing them down, and it still doesn't work, apparently, because that's what I spent half my day doing.
cool.
So did you ever, when you were younger, ever have a thought that you were going to publish a book someday?
No, I wanted to be a landscape architect, and so I didn't really pursue it. I went on a mission to Siberia, and it changed my um, kind of my momentum because I realized I really love teaching. So
Mm-hmm.
I came home and switched gears and went into history and Russian teaching, and part of that was a lot of writing. And
Yeah.
I turned out I loved thinking through problems and writing. And my dad was a teacher, and he had a sign in his room that said, I can't remember, something, reading makes the ready man and writing makes the whole man, or something. And um, I in about 2013, I got an idea that I needed to start a blog about being a woman in the church that I belong to. And so that was like a really good way for me to think and
Yeah.
process. And like, so I dabble in many genres. I haven't been writing novels because I just finished 2 papers for the Interpreter Foundation that are more apologetic scripture kind of papers. And,
Uh-huh.
um, and then I don't know. So I just want to think, right? And so the Shove the Witch in the Oven, oh, it's backwards. Also a social commentary on agriculture and big farms and the food industry. And so there's a subplot for adults, and there's a kid part, and there's teenagers characters. I didn't just kind of stick with one genre and write by the template. I put in whatever I wanted to make this statement.
Right.
And that's why I self-published, because the agents that I talked to were like, no, you got to have teenagers that are in love, and you can't have the bad guy die. That's not going to be okay in a kid's book. And you got to do this and that. And I was like, that's not my story. I'm not interested in publishing that story. So I just
Yeah.
decided to publish on Amazon. I mean, I really don't intend to make a lot of money, and I don't think that I will. It's like my mom and my cousins bought it, and some other people, they've liked it. My friend sent me a picture of her daughter. She just kind of like discreetly was sitting in the bathtub with her leg over the tub, and she had the book, and she would not put it down, so she had to go into the bathtub with the book to finish it. So but more, it was my way of thinking through my new life, because I mean, I grew up in the suburbs, and we were in San Antonio for 10 years raising all the kids, and then we bought this farm in Wyoming. And it's like, this is a reality check, like
Oh yeah.
and death and chores and straw in your clothes and knowing how to
Uh-huh.
dress in the winter and all of that. But it's just so satisfying. It's so much more than I could have even pictured for myself living this way. So I try to put a little bit of that in the book too.
Very cool. It's interesting when, you have a publisher saying stuff like that, and you're like, some of the oldest stories that we know, fairy tales, have exactly those types of themes in them. Like, how can you say that those aren't going to fly or those aren't popular? They've been around for hundreds of years.
Right, right. And so this is a Hansel and Gretel, obviously, like retelling in Wyoming with locally raised children and organically raised children. So,
Very cool. Very cool. And so this is one that I've actually had an opportunity to read. A lot of the times when we talk to the authors, we
oh,
haven't
that's
had a
right. I
chance
do
to read
have
them
that.
yet. So yeah, I actually have my copy as well, and it was a lot of fun. It really was. It was a great story, and you're absolutely right. Like there are definitely a lot of levels of themes in there that would have appealed to a lot of different ages and lifestyles and audiences and stuff, which is really cool.
Thanks.
So when you sat down to write, how did your decision process go, or was it even a conscious decision to keep the book clean?
Oh, it would never occurred to me to put stuff in it that was not good for kids. It is a little scary. Like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
little graphic. There's some witches fighting, and there's some like scary kidnapping and stuff, but there's no swearing and there's no sex and there's no language. Oh, that's swearing. So I just don't put it in because that's just not how my brain works or my life is at all. Like it's just
Right.
foreign to me. And I read each chapter to my kids as I wrote it. And so I was very conscious of like even making it scary or not scary. And there's been a lot of talk in our little town lately about libraries and clean books
Yeah.
and it's really just been really divisive. And it's too bad because as soon as you say we want clean books, then it's Nazis and book burnings and censorship. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like that. It's just,
Right.
we need some transparency, like so that the library can be a safe place for me and my kids. It
Right.
used to be when we were only going to the children's section, it was totally fine. I let them go. And with 6 kids, I'm not going to read everybody's book before they read it.
Right.
There's no way. So once they became teenagers, we still went and we still got whatever we wanted. And I did not realize I was naive about what was in there. And so I had to talk at a library board meeting and say, look, just there's ratings on movies, there's ratings on music, there's ratings on TV shows. It's not about bad or good. It's just about transparency. And it would be really nice if, as a community, we could come together and read these books and put a little sticker on the top of each book that's got 3 for language, 1 through 5 for language, sex, and violence. And then a parent can just look at it and be like, that's not appropriate for you, or that's appropriate for you.
Yeah.
But
how was that received as you were sharing that with them?
It was a room of people who are very concerned about censorship. So I was worried that it was going to be booed out of, but they were nice about it because it's not really about you're a bad person. It's like, I just want to know what I'm getting. And so what's happened in our town is another Christian homeschool family put forward a grant to start their own library. So the free market just kind of swooped in. And now there's a library that has so many cool items to check out, like metal detectors and xylophones and ice cream makers and skeleton models. And then there's a bunch of classic books and clean books, a lot of documentaries. They've just been able to accumulate a lot of good things. And the people who are concerned about it go there, and the people that aren't go to the other library, which is just fine. Everyone needs to be able to choose what they want. I just want to be able to do it safely and not be shocked by what the kids bring.
Blindsided.
Yep.
Yeah. I love the way you put that as it's just in a matter of transparency. It's just a matter of allowing people to make informed choices, not saying one thing is good or bad, but just saying, I get to choose what I want and you can choose what you want.
Yeah. And we think of books as this like sacrosanct thing where you can't touch them. And as long as your kid is reading, they're fine. They're doing a good thing. And it's better than TV or it's better than movie, video games. It's like, it's just as bad of an addiction if it's the wrong kind of book, if it's just fluff or just violence or just sex. Like there's no reason we need to protect books from a rating system or from saying this isn't appropriate for a kid. One of my daughters checked out a book that looked very innocuous, just a little rose on a picture. It was called Winter Cottage. And she read it, and I wish she wouldn't have. And she came down and said, Mom, 3 sex scenes and a rape. And she threw it on the ground and she said, we can't go to the library anymore. And I was like, yeah, we really can't. And so we buy books and we go to the other library, but it just is too bad that we can't acknowledge that there are some things kids shouldn't see, and even grown-ups. I don't like smutty books, bad words in my head. So I can't just check things out from the adult section either.
Yeah, and the pictures you create in your mind when you're reading a book can oftentimes be more graphic than what would be on a TV show or a movie. So saying that that's not dangerous is it's just not true, because your mind is still creating those images in your head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I it's funny, I like that point of view, or what you were saying, that that books are seen as some sacrosanct thing that we can't touch. And but honestly, you're right. What's the difference between it's a media source, and so why not? And I think the other problem is just the volume. Just there's so many books,
Many.
And do you start now and every book from here on out, or who goes back and does it? And so that's one of the things we've talked about a lot, and like, how do we solve that issue?
Right. Well, and so we have a tiny town, right? 7,500 people. So
Mm-hmm.
what's better than a project for everyone to get in on together? You give a rubric to everybody. What page did this happen? Or like list the pages or the number of occurrences of swear words, of sex scenes, of violence. And then you just kind of like tally things up. People check out books. You say, would you mind filling out this as you go? And then, I think it'd be cool for everybody to come together and be like, we want this to be a safe place for us and for our kids.
Yeah.
But nobody thought that would be good. But it was like we can do this. We can volunteer, but I think
that's work.
the board didn't want to lose their final say on things, and the county commissioners didn't want to say they couldn't handle it, and some upstart girl was going to tell them what to do. And that was the problem, I think, is I have no authority in the county. So besides an idea. Yeah.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head that what it takes is somebody willing to be a disruptor, right? So somebody, free capitalism or entrepreneurial spirit will to come in and say, no, this is actually empowering people to people's choice, right? So that's what the goal would be with any sort of rating system. It's not to vilify anyone or certainly not censorship. Censorship would be cutting things out or removing
things. Yeah.
This is simply empowering readers to find the content that they want.
Yeah.
And it needs to be something that's available.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question, but I don't like, if you think of, like, I don't know, are you familiar with VidAngel and
sure.
what they tried to do with movies? They got into trouble because they were cutting scenes, and even though it was, well, these are the scenes we would have fast forwarded anyway, and we didn't want to see these, they were altering, and that's what the courts decided. But this isn't even that. This is the rating system that movies have had for decades, and nobody has a problem with.
And we want them, so we know what we're getting. It's a sign of respect, I think, to not blindside people.
Yeah.
So.
And it's always annoying to me too when an author knowingly like creates a cover that doesn't match what is, the cover looks like it's going to be fine, it's going to be clean, but then you open it up and it's not, because they're
deceptive.
The ones who are honest will put something on the cover, you're like, I know what's in that book.
Right. Yeah, they start the series really good and really hook people, and then they get it really dirty after the second or third book, and that's not cool either.
Yeah, I saw online yesterday. So when I was a kid, I loved the Hardy Boys. That was one of my favorites, and I guess the first book has now entered the public domain, so it's been completely rewritten for the modern times and edited, and I was like, no,
dang,
you're ruining such a good thing. But
it's like when Winnie the Pooh became public. Now there's a horror Winnie the Pooh movie.
Right. Like, on the one hand, I totally understand copyright and IP and all that, and I get it, and on the other hand, I understand that maybe 100 years is too long, but that was just disheartening to see that they're destroying something that I loved as a kid. But
well, and the difference is that the original cartoon Winnie the Pooh is rated differently than the new horror movie, right? Like this, we
Right.
still
I
have
know
that
what you
out
mean.
there that
Yeah.
exists. So even if it's redone and somebody changes the entire direction of the content, at least you have a choice and you know.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah.
So, how long did you go through the process of querying agents and publishing houses and stuff?
I went through it for about almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, my friend and neighbor here was an agent for Literary Wheat or something, literary group. And so
Mm-hmm.
she looked at it and then she passed it on when she had to step back. So then her boss took it, and then just like nothing really happened for so long. And I
Yeah.
thought they were like looking at it to edit or to make it ready, and it turned out they hadn't even gotten to it. And so um my one friend, she did say those things about you need teenage romance, and she gave me the idea to put every chapter in a different point of view, so there's different
Mm-hmm.
narrators throughout, and that was a big revision, but I really liked the way it turned out, so I was
Yeah.
fine with that. But just the rules of the publishing houses, what they want, what they're looking for, that you want to talk about censorship, they're which things get published based on what the libraries will buy, because that's the biggest consumer, and the ALA
Right.
president has a lot of sway about what is being published, what they're even accepting. And at the time, so this was like 2021, they were looking for like own point of view and people with different abilities or different ethnicities, just like unique points of view. And I
Right.
was like, I'm a white mom, so that's my point of view, and I can't pretend otherwise. So,
Right.
and that was the other thing. Like, they just wanted it to be so different than what I was trying to do. And then when I was talking to them, they were like, you'll probably be in charge of marketing. You'll need to reach out to all the book groups and the booksellers. And I was like, so what do you do? What's your for? Um, and if I'm going to do all the marketing anyway, then I might as well publish it and make all the profits myself as well.
Right.
So that's what I did. And I'm glad I did. I think it gives me total control. There were some typos, I'm sure having an editor
Sure.
would have been beneficial, but
There are typos in big name author publishing house books too.
sure. Yeah.
So
it was fine for me.
yeah.
I'll show you this other cool project. I guess I don't know how to I can't make it not backwards. Is it backwards for you? So Rosalie and Natalie's Haitian Tropical Treasure Hunt. My friend Erica, she moved to Haiti when she was still single, probably 2010-ish, and
Uh-huh.
she married this great guy there, and he had a daughter already, and they adopted 2 more girls. And so then Haiti fell apart, and you all have
Yeah.
seen that. They were stuck there, and they were trying to homeschool, and internet was super spotty. They had to keep moving because the gangs kept taking over their place. And my friend
Yikes.
Erica is she's a mental health professional, and she runs a giant clinic there, community counseling services, which is the most needed thing with all of the trauma and the destruction that's going on. And so
Yeah.
she reached out to see if anybody could help homeschool. And I was happy to get to know her kids. And so Janya and Lola and Bev wrote a book while they were
Cool.
shut in Haiti, and they found all the images. They used Canva and AI to like make cute, cool pictures. We talked about like themes, and so they went through the map of Haiti with different fruits, and these girls go on this adventure to get all the different fruits for their smoothie. It's just such a cool thing that writing and creativity can bring
Yeah.
light into even the worst and the darkest and the scariest times. So that is also available on Amazon. Rosalie and Natalie's Haitian Tropical Treasure Hunt. I'm sure they would be delighted with any of your listeners buying their
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, that's a great
Also
story.
very clean. It's fruit and
Well,
Haiti.
and that's a great idea for a homeschooling project, because I
Yeah.
mean there's so many different aspects of learning that you're putting into one project. That's
Mhm.
super cool.
Yeah, it kept them
So,
super busy.
so then did you sort of just mentor them through the process of putting it together and getting it self-published, or
Yeah,
what was the role you played in that? Yeah.
so I read a few books with them and said, see, this one's going through ABCs. This one's going through the vegetables. This one's going through the days of the week. Like all children's books have like this underlying thing that they go through, right?
Right, right.
So what do you know? Like, what could you write about? And they were super excited about the fruit there. And then I said, and maybe they could be like on a path somewhere. Like, is there a cool place to go? And so they've figured out on the map how to let these two heroines go through. And as they were writing it, I would just ask them for pages every week, and they'd have some written. And then we showed them how to do AI on Canva and find images. And it's totally possible for kids to do this, like with all the technology we have. And they are so creative, so inventive. I had my daughter Myra write a story when she was in 3rd grade, and it kept taking these twists and turns. And I was like, this is actually really good. And then Amazon, you can just publish it. It's super easy. It comes as a real book. It's so rewarding for kids to be able to do that. There's no reason why they can't.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I love that.
And I know there are going to be people out there who have a problem with AI and using that and stuff. And my response to that is, that's the world we live in, and that's that it's going to happen. I think there's plenty of room in the world for artists to do things
Sure.
in their old mediums, and there's going to be, and anyone who's tried to do images in AI understands that it's actually a skill set. You can't just tell it to do something.
Yeah.
Like you really have to dial down and learn how to give very specific instructions on exactly what you want and where, and like it there's a lot of thought that goes into even the instructions you're giving the AI model.
Yeah. I think they used AI for the backgrounds, and then they used photos that they would like bring in and collage in there, which also looks cool. But yeah, I think
cool.
AI is really, it's a new thing. And I love art, and I think art is so valuable as a skill and as a meditation, and it benefits the artist to do it whether or not they're turning a high profit, right? Like it's a cool thing and a good thing for people, everyone, to learn how to draw and learn how to compose graphics and all of those things.
Yeah, because there's something about seeing an item that you've created, whether it's art or writing or woodworking, whatever it is, something that you've actually built yourself, that builds confidence in kids, for one. Just and a realization that they can actually do things.
Yep.
Which I think, a lot of kids are missing that. Like, and I'm sure on a farm, your kids have learned a lot just knowing that they have to problem. Yeah, I can fix this. They have to problem solve. The gate is broken, or the fence, or whatever it is. I'm guessing that they probably have figured out how to fix a lot of stuff themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. My 17-year-old son is just rebuilt the front end of his truck. I was like, I don't even understand what that entails at all, but that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to have the confidence that you can learn something. And that's what all of these things do. Writing, art, building, music, sports, is just build confidence that you too can learn this. You're not dumb. You can do this. Figure it out. Don't outsource it.
Yeah, I mean, there have been lots of times where people have asked me how to do something or to do it for them, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that, so I just went and learned and then taught them. And I'm
Yep.
thinking, you could have learned this too,
Huh?
but instead you asked someone else to do it for you, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah. Like this earth is a giant workshop, and anything we do will build us and make us better. So don't shy away from doing the work.
Yeah, and you're going to get detractors. Like you're going to post, maybe you want to post something you've done because you're proud of it, or do a video or whatever. You're going to get people that tell you you did it wrong and you don't know what you're doing and this is wrong. And I, the response that I've started giving to people who would do that to me was like, no, this is I got exactly out of this what I wanted to get out of it. And it doesn't matter that I did it differently than you.
Yeah.
Um, Even if it didn't turn out perfect, what I learned was what I needed to learn.
Right.
And so
I'm
it
a
was
better
great.
person now because I did this thing. And it's not
Right.
the product
Right.
that matters as much as the building of the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I don't post on social media.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. So my marketing is not great.
Yeah, that's tough if you're not posting anywhere. It's tough to market any other way.
Yeah, it is.
But
Yeah.
but
So,
it's go ahead, Brock.
oh no, I was going to go down a different
You're fine.
track, but
Yeah.
okay. Where was I going to go? Oh, I'll try again here. So with the self-publishing, I know you mentioned you have two other works sort of waiting in the wings for you to sort of approach. What's your plan around those, and do you plan to self-publish those? Is that something you want to jump on soon, or are you waiting for the right the right time to just know that it's time to work on those?
Those are great questions. I would self-publish again 100%. And the other one, the work that is planned, that's a sequel, is like a mashup of Rapunzel and Sasquatch and the baby
Ooh,
that Claudia
ooh,
and Luke end up with. And it's Save the Baby from the Treetop. And like coming of age for the boy, and Greta's like a brat. She is so mean to Claudia as a stepmom. And um there's a little bit in there about missing murdered and indigenous women, and the I live right on the reservation of the Wind River Reservation. So
mm,
Yeah.
that's very topical here. And
Yeah.
also just sort of a thought about we get our feelings hurt so bad so easily, and we think people are bad guys because they hurt our feelings. Teachers or leaders or parents, they're bad, and faced with real badness, Greta realizes that things aren't so bad, with
Right.
her family. So that book I'm excited about. I think it's going to be really fun. I need to get on that. The other book is we found this really interesting ancestor, and I thought it would be a fun project for my girls. I've got a 17-year-old boy and then 4 teenage girls, and then a 3-year-old baby boy. So it's a super fun mix of like sister, like it feels like Little Women at our house all the time.
Yeah.
And they're playing the piano and they're drawing and they're, and we homeschool. And so there's a lot more flexibility and more time that's protected towards just learning and pursuing passions and things. And so with the girls, all of them like writing. And so we found this ancestor who had such a whirlwind of a life. And we thought it would be really fun to fictionalize her story and like add in dialogue and make her story come to life for our cousins and our, other descendants of married
Yeah.
people. And so we've started that. We've outlined it all, and the note cards are in the drawer, and we kind of work on it as we can. My big thing right now is, well, the 3-year-old who remembers how hard 3-year-olds are, not me.
yeah,
He's
I hear
very
you.
intense. And then we homeschool the 3 girls, and then my older 2 go to the community college here. And we've added in like 3 more families. So we're planning lessons for 15 kids 3 times a week. And it's just a lot, you know, I love it. I love teaching, and I love
Yeah.
creating curriculum based on what's like actually interesting and project-based stuff. But it keeps me so busy that I can't get around to the hobby very easily.
Yeah, but I love that though, because you know, so many of the authors we talk to, it's sort of a calling that they feel, right? And they feel called to write this. There's something comes and they feel this drive and desire and need to write the story, whatever it may be. And then, you know, you take a break for a while, you feel like you need to focus on other things, which obviously you have plenty to keep you busy and that would keep you engaged in other things you feel are more important. And then what we've heard from many authors too is that then it'll come back, right? They'll
Yeah,
get
that's what I mean.
drawn back in. Yeah.
Well, and because it took me 5 years to get around to writing the first one after conceiving of it, you know, it was like, this will come. There will be time. Like they're
Yeah.
growing up so fast that I don't want to trade this time with them behind a computer. So I'm good.
Right.
Being patient. I plan to live for a very long time. So I'm sure I'll have plenty of time in retirement. So
Eating all of that organic farm produce.
that's right. All that delicious
It'll go a
food.
long way.
So, okay, I'm still stuck on this thought from like way back 10 minutes ago of these publishers who are saying they only want this certain things because that's what the libraries want, and just the circular reasoning there. People want the books, this type of book, because this is the only type of book we give them, so that's what they like. And that
It's like a gut biome, all out of whack. Yeah, we just
yeah,
want
like,
junk food because that's what we've had, and yeah,
yeah, like how do you know someone doesn't want this? Because you're not providing it to them. Like, it's not.
It's a
yeah.
form of censorship on its own, right? Like directing and controlling so much of what's available.
Yeah, what's chosen, and then you've got a budget of what, like a couple $100,000 as a small library. So what books out of the millions that are published every year are you going to choose? And there's censorship in that.
Yeah,
That's okay, but let's call it what it is, you know, and
but
don't say we don't get a choice as consumers. We are being Nazis if we don't want bad books or whatever. It's like, just choose to buy different books with that money that the taxpayers have provided, you know? I don't know.
right. And you know, they say, well, these are the popular ones. Well, no, those are just the ones that you put on that front table and decorated it to look really pretty and seasonal. So that's the ones they picked up.
Right.
It has nothing to do with, you could have put an entirely different section of books on that same table and gotten a completely different result.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I found, at least in my local library, you can request a book through their website, and they'll look at it and then go out and purchase it for you if
That's
it's one
great. Yeah, I bet we do that too.
So that's been a way that I've been able to get a few books into the library that I wanted to see there. So that is an option for people to look up as well, and it's also a good hack, so you don't have to pay the money to buy the book. Make the library pay for it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and they're I mean, our library has really nice people working there, and they want local authors, so they've got everybody's book who's a local author.
Oh, good.
That's cool. Just, you know, politics.
Yeah, it's tough, and I think choice is always better.
Yeah.
And
transparency. That's all.
Choice and transparency. Exactly. Yeah. You can't go wrong with that, because people will always be able to find what they're looking for and what they want and what they need.
Yeah.
For sure. So have you thought about doing an audiobook as a project as well?
No, that's a great idea. That's a good retirement plan. I should do that. I mean, I'm just like, this is 4 years later. Most authors have written another 4 books by now, and I'm still like, I've been busy.
Well, I mean, maybe one of your kids is into
Voice acting. Yeah.
Voice acting.
Super fun. I have no idea how that goes, but that would be fun for me to learn, right? Like that's part of the workshop. I don't need to outsource that necessarily. Although I do have kind of a little kid voice and it's annoying. So I don't think anybody would like it for too many hours at once.
I don't know that was our impression at all from meeting you and starting this. I don't think I would have labeled you that at all. But
I think your biggest critic is always yourself when it comes to your voice.
That's true.
I could never listen to myself narrate a book. Yeah, that would not be.
Have great voices.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's things you have to learn and some equipment that you have to get, but it's once you get a system down, doing it and have it the right location and stuff, it's actually a pretty fun project to do. So that might be something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Something to think about. Even short stories or something, just to kind of learn how to do it in the process of editing and would be fun.
Yeah. What's your editing preferred software?
When I do audiobooks, I use Adobe Audition, but only because I have access to it. I wouldn't pay for it if I didn't have access to it. Because it's the subscription is they switched to a subscription plan, so you can't just save up the money and buy it. You have to pay them and it's super expensive. So I get it through my wife's work, so that's the one I decided to use. But there are free options out there as well. That they have a little, well, I wouldn't even say a steeper learning curve. You just have to learn the software, and they do almost as much. They're not quite as powerful, but if you have a good setup, it doesn't really matter. You can still do it with the freeware.
Okay.
For sure. Great. Yeah. And there are a lot of videos out there, instructions on how to do it and the settings you want to have and the filters and all that stuff too. So it's a good research project and a good learning experience, learning how to do it. And then with Amazon, they actually have a test, a website where you can upload your audio and they'll run it through their test filters to see if it would pass all of their requirements to be an audiobook.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So before you even upload it that it's going to be accepted, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just lost my train of thought now too. Now that you've kind of been through that whole process of the writing, the editing, the querying, the deciding to self-publish, just kind of that whole process.
Yeah.
What do you wish you would have known starting out that you didn't?
I wish I wouldn't have spent a year waiting for other people to tell me it was good. I think I needed that validation. And so I was waiting for beta readers and I was waiting for the agents but I really didn't want their criticism. I just wanted them to tell me it was good. I've learned through the academic papers that the criticism helps the most. And I just have to be open to it and be fine with it. And it makes it so much stronger. But I wish I would have just found like maybe 2 beta readers that could do a really good, thorough job. And I got Grammarly. That helped a ton. So Grammarly is your friend. I realized I didn't know how to punctuate dialogue at all. Like at all. It was all over the place. And one of the writing group, what's going on here? And I was like, I don't know. Do I not know? I guess I don't know. So just all of the punctuation stuff was really helpful. And then, I think it's nerve-wracking to put your work out there, and it's very vulnerable. Sure. And you want people, before you do it, you want people to say, no, this is good. But then you're pinning all of your worth on, or what worth, but your ambition on other people's opinions. And that's not the healthiest way to go about it. So I think like just having gone through it once and realizing like, I think I know what I'm doing. And now I can use Grammarly to help me with these editing things and having a few people read it, and then just go for it. Like,
Yeah.
the other thing about self-publishing is you can change your manuscript and you can update it, and you can make it, if you notice this egregious error or incongruent text or whatever, you just go and change your manuscript, re-upload it, and then all the books coming after that will be correct. So it's
Yep.
fluid that way. I don't know how it is if you have a publisher, if they can do that or not, but
Yeah, that's a good question. If they would consider it the next edition, or because they probably wouldn't want to pay to re-release it.
right.
Whereas when you're printing on demand with Amazon, it doesn't matter because they don't print it until someone orders it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice. And I mean, you kind of have to remind yourself that there are people who love Van Gogh and people who hate Van Gogh. Yet, there are people who are going to like your work and people who aren't. And we've had a few authors who've said, you know what, the most important thing is to find your audience. And once you find your audience, then they're your people. They're going to like your stuff.
I'm not going to please everyone. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, we are about out of time. So we need to get back to those 2 truths and a lie. So let me remind everybody what they are. Number 1, our family's Thanksgiving tradition is to eat a bowl of Cheerios in the bathroom. Number 2, I was once stranded in Bali due to the monsoon season shutting down the airports. Number 3, I live on an old McDonald farm with pigs, horses, sheep, goats, cows, and dogs. All right, Brock, what do you think?
I was watching your face, Jen, really closely there as you read those to see if you would break, and you didn't at all. There was zero indication, and they're all so very specific that it's a challenge. So I don't know that I have a ton of logic behind this, but I mean, I feel like the first one is so specific though that has to be a legit. That's a legit tradition. There's something about it that just feels right. So I'm gonna, and I think you're very clever. So I'm going to say it's actually number 3 is the lie. Not that you don't live on a farm, but that one of those animals does not exist on. Yeah, no, all of the animals on the farm.
They didn't list the llamas.
Now,
no, just kidding.
Yeah. So
No,
well,
kidding.
and now that you sounded a little surprised, I feel like I was just wrong there. But I will stick by it. I will stick by it. And say that's my guess. That's my guess.
So then I am going to say the number 2 is the lie, then, just to be different.
Yeah. Okay, well, what do you?
So
you were right, Marcus. It was number 2. I was not stuck in Bali. I was stuck in Hong Kong. So there. This specific.
So it was just one component of one of the stories that was different, or one
That's
of the.
What makes a good lie, you guys.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Specific and confident, and just change a little bit.
That's right.
That's
so it was in where again? I'm sorry. So not in Bali.
I think I was in Hong Kong or Macau. We had to get rerouted from Taiwan to Macau because of a monsoon and typhoon and something.
Oh, holy cow.
So then it's got to be a little crowded in the bathroom eating your Cheerios then.
So when I was growing up, my dad was a school teacher at Orem High, and we would take vacation for Thanksgiving because he had the week off, and we'd go camping, or we'd go, to some far off place in Utah, drivable. We had 6 kids on a school teacher's salary. And one day we were in Loa, Utah at this hotel, and we couldn't eat in the hotel, but my mom snuck some Cheerios in and milk. And we all sat in the bathroom because there was linoleum and we weren't going to spill on the beds or anything. And about halfway through our dinner, she looked up and said, "Guys, it's Thanksgiving." And so we were like, we were having Cheerios in the bathroom at Thanksgiving. And so, one of my sweetest memories was in 2017, my dad had leukemia, and he was, it became very acute. And so he went to LDS hospital, and he, on Thanksgiving morning, we all brought all the kinds of boxes of Cheerios that we could find, and we all met in the conference room of his hospital wing, and we just sat and talked. And my brother had a story from like 9th grade about Cheerios in the bathroom, and we cried and we ate so many Cheerios. And it was just such a warm and tender thing for our family. So we've been trying to have breakfast at least on Thanksgiving Day of Cheerios in the bathroom.
That's awesome. That is such
beautiful
a cool story.
Thank you for sharing
Very
that
cool
with
story.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And Brock, you noticed it's now 5-0.
Yeah, I've got my work cut out for me. Yeah.
Here, I can list all the correct animals.
If I build a big enough lead, then you won't be able to catch up.
That's right.
That's my plan.
I like it.
All right. Well, Jan, thank you so much for being on the show today. That was a lot of fun. It was a great conversation. And for all of you out there listening, please subscribe and please share with your friends and neighbors to let them know about the podcast. It really helps. And go and check out the books that we talked about today. And we'll catch you next time on the Clean Library Podcast.